Hello and welcome to the Blue Tweezers channel with Alan from the channel. Just doing an impromptu, just an illustrative turn of Rome ink from Augustus to Diocletian as part of the Against All Odds journal, Wargame magazine. This is number 53. I understand it's quite a popular game and I just thought I'd give you a run through. I got it as a birthday present from my daughter, so let's just run through a turn. It's an interesting game with some interesting nuances. Here we have the map, which is of course the Roman Empire and the environs around it. If we look at these little circles, these are the provinces, and these are grouped with the colour around them into particular regions. So for example, here we have Pannonia, Gallia, Hispania, etc. all the way around. Each of these provinces will have a monetary symbol, these little coins, which is their tax value, and also they may have other symbols like a fleet symbol. It's rather stylized black trireme kind of symbol, and also possibly a shield as well. The shield is for mandatory garrisoning. The fleet symbol is for fleets to be able to be based there, and also a garrisoning requirement as well. We have these provinces connected by different types of links. They range from the roads, which are the sort of straight grey single thick line with a white line surrounding it. Rivers stroke straits, which is this white line with two black lines on an outline here. We have also the sea links, which are these dotted lines, and then we have mountain links, which are the little dotted black lines. So what are we trying to do in this game? We're trying to run the Roman Empire, really, a bit of the Roman Empire in time. So there are 4 scenarios in the game and they go in chronological order. This is the setup for the first one. This is the time of Caesar Augustus, or Octavian, Julius Caesar's nephew, I think. He's effectively just come to power, and you're trying to make sure that Rome expands, it becomes more famous in the guise of prestige points, and also that it doesn't just collapse. What's the downside here? So the downsides are surrounding the Roman Empire there are these squares here which represents the surrounding tribes. War counters will be picked which will match these, and they'll effectively be invasions from these areas. We already have one here starting off in northern Spain, in Hispania, which is a Cantabrian war here. So, and this is a war counter here, which is linked and starts in this province here. Now you can see there's quite a lot of counters on these provinces, but some of them are blank. There is a status to each of these provinces, grade on how Romanized they are. If there's no status counter there, then they are a Roman province. If they have one of these green counters with a sword on it, that's a barbarian province, so nothing to do with the Roman, effectively an enemy. And there's grades in between. So going from the barbarian province, you can get to this province, for example, this marker, which is known as Allied. It's got a single Roman standard, and that's a grade up from the barbarian status, and that implies there are allied provinces there. It's not Roman. It's still foreign, but they are at least not antagonistic or hostile. Then we have what's known as the veteran allied. This is an example here, which has 2 standards. It's pretty much the same counter except for those 2 standards. I think they could have done something with those to differentiate them a little better, because these counters are, as you can see, quite small, and that represents a much friendlier foreign province, and they are better to defend with, because they will defend themselves against the barbarians. Then we have this white symbol here with a flame, which is known as insurgent. Now that's a sort of proto-Roman province, so that it's something that is controlled by the Romans but not necessarily fully fledged Romanized, and not necessarily contributing to the empire in tax revenue and things like that, but they are effectively somewhere where Romans can come and go. The allied and the veteran allied Roman legions, auxiliaries, etc. don't go into those areas because they are independent, whereas insurgents are no longer independent. And finally, of course, you've got the blank, which is the Roman province. And pretty much the game works in a way that you're trying to get as many of these provinces up to up that Romanization status as much as possible. Though things will be dragging it back down towards barbarian. There is a way for Romanized province to actually descend, so even if you get to the goal of becoming a Roman province, it may not stay that way. You also, although you won't see it in this turn, there is, or I'm very unlikely to see it in this turn, Roman provinces become rebel as well, and so you get the kind of Roman civil war idea as well. So that's about the board and a few of the counters. What we also have here is we have legion counters here, which are named, but the name isn't particularly relevant, and they are of one of two sides. They are either standard legion, which is a single shield, or a double legion, which is a veteran legion, and they kind of count double. You also have auxiliaries, and there's an auxiliary here, and these are not quite legions, a bit like a legion, but not as powerful. And of course you've got these fleets, which are here, these white counters, which are really there for garrison purposes in the early turns. So that's what we have at the moment. You can see I've got some other counters here, and particularly over these region areas. So these region areas have a number on it, and that's actually the total tax value of the whole region, but it's unlikely you'll ever have that. The tax is done by Roman provinces only, so insurgents don't count, and so you're either counting up the ones you have as Roman provinces, or you're taking that value and you're subtracting what isn't a Roman province. And my idea is just to actually put the number in current on those, so that you can tell at a glance when taxing what the value is, and change it as the status of these Roman provinces change. So throughout a game turn, these statuses will change due to your actions and also due to the game's actions as well. Just a few other places here. We have the event chart here, which there are a variable number of those, and they have a double meaning. There's if you get the event once during the turn, something happens, and if you get it a second time, there is not necessarily a bonus, but a different event is then applied on top. We have the sequence of play, which we will be following for the turn here. We have what's known as the Treasury Chart here, which will have all the various status of the empire information here. One, of course, is the treasury money itself, which are the gold counters here. Prestige, which is kind of victory points in the game, which are these green symbols. Unrest, which is this flame symbol, and also the pay, which is how much the Roman army costs per turn, and then that can be variable depending on if you bring in new units or not. We have the boxes down here. This is the command display. So you'll see there's two of these boxes are filled, and this is with Augustus here, who is the Caesar, and we have Agrippa, who is the current consul. That's the setup. Each of the others are governor positions, and the pink one here is known as the prefect, because it's the governor of Italia, which is like the central part of the empire, of course. And all the others are colour-coded for the regions around the board. Now you'll see these outlines with numbers, and they kind of match the leader information on the leader counters, the commander counters. These are default commanders, so if there's nothing in the box, then you take those values instead. And these four values, this is military, this is administrative. Military is for fighting battles. This is administration. Administration is taxing and control. This three here, this green one, is popularity. So this is how popular that actual commander is, and that has an effect during the game. And finally, there's a pink symbol there, which is intrigue. It's kind of crossed daggers. We have an emperor's box here. So there are counters which will be pulled out, which are the commanders, which you get each turn, and you place them where you like in the command display. Also, there are emperor counters, and those are dynasties. So as you pull those out, they will have while that emperor's counter is in play, will have a special effect on the game. So a particular die roll modifier that's persistent, other things could happen, or extra actions are available because the emperor counters is in the emperor's box. Over here we have the barracks. and the barracks is your reinforcements, possible reinforcements which you have to pay for. And we have 1 legion, 2 fleets, and 8 auxiliaries available to add. And then we have a destroyed legions box, which is where if you lose a legion, they go in there. There is a way of playing all 4 scenarios to get a great big campaign game to go from Augustus all the way to Diocletian. Each of the scenarios has 10 turns. It's fixed for 10 turns, and you've got a turn marker here to keep track. At the end of turn 10, you kind of count up and see how well you did. The final chart here's the Treasury chart. These are the costs that it does to pay and build military units. Also, there's a concept called transfer. So if you have military units and you want to shift around, you can within the region quite happily for free. But if you want to shift into another region, you have to pay a penalty. As I understand it, is because these legions, etc., get a bit settled in and they don't like moving far from where they were settled in. It's quite disruptive to move them too far. Up here we have a couple of, well, they are boxes, and you're supposed to have counters which are flipped over and hidden, and you pull chits effectively from these. These are statesmen and wars. I've put them in little cups, so I can just pick them out from here. The statesmen are what turns into the commanders. The wars are what appear around the empire for you to fight, or they'll certainly fight you. I don't want to go through the rules or etc. I'll rather just go through the sequence of play for a turn. You get an idea how it works, and I'd say in a lot of cases with solo games, the rules tell you the procedures, but you don't really actually garner the effect of what it's telling you that happens or could happen with a particular action or a particular reaction from the game, until you actually play it and play through, and then you kind of get the idea. So the rules are fairly stark and instructive rather than particularly illustrative. There are a few examples of play, but you still don't quite get how it hangs together, and hopefully with this sample turn you'll get some idea of how it hangs together and why I think actually it's quite a good game. So let's start off the sequence of play. First turn of the game, turn 1. I'll just need to adjust the treasury because they're getting knocked about a bit, and just check that everything's in the right position, and then we can start. Right, we're ready to go. So we have a treasury of 100, turn 1. We have a starting prestige of 25. We have an unrest of 4, pay of 79. That's the total of all the units on the board, and that's it. You'll notice that the treasury actually goes beyond a 10, even though there are times 10s counters. This is particularly relevant to get to 25. If you ever get the unrest above 25, you lose the game. So that's a really important metric in the game, is watch that unrest. But you can do things about unrest. It's not you're well in control of what unrest could be, to be honest. So we start off with the event phase, and we start with removing event counters from the previous turn. So these are the event counters. They would be on the chart from the previous turn, and you just remove them off. Very simple. Then we will place an event counter on a particular event because of who Caesar is. And this could be conquest, persecution, terror, or usurper events. And this is actually written on the counter itself. So Augustus has the conquest event written on his counter. So we will do the conquest event, which is here. And the first time you get the event, Annex of Province. So Annex, it's slightly a pejorative word, I think, for what happens here. So this is trying to improve the status of a province, is known as annexation, even though you may not annex it as in it becomes part of Rome, but you just shift up the status, barbarian to allied to veteran allied, veteran allied to insurgent, and but not insurgent to Roman as well. That's why the annexation is a strange word. The actual move from insurgent to Roman province is as a result of another part of the game, strangely enough. So we need to pick a province that we would like to improve its status. Now that we are restricted on where we can do this, they need to be a province that's next to other parts of the empire or allied powers. You can't just zoom off into the distance with where there's nowhere near the Roman Empire. So they need to be connected. Also, we can't really do it where there's a current war. So, for example, we couldn't do it in Galicia here because there's a Cantabrian War sitting there. But where should we do it? What I'm going to do is I'm going to increase Numidia here to veteran allied. So that's our annexation there. Now we decide what other events are here. So we will roll a dice. We will see what we get here. 6, so that's 6 extra events. We actually only have 5 here to roll, but let's roll for each of them. Now we roll 2 dice. The red dice is halved and becomes the second. So as I say, this is 1 1 1 2 1 3. There's no 1 4 1 5 1 6. So white die 1, red die 1 or a 2 for 1 1. White die 1, red die 3 or a 4 for 1 2, and white die 1, red die 5 or a 6 for 1 3. So we have 6 1 here. So it's 2 halved. It's 1 6 1. 6 1 is rebellion. So what happens here is that we get a modifier here. So +1 to each support 2d6 and rebellion 3d6. So it's unlikely we'll see a rebellion, so that's not really going to have much of an effect in the game. But the Roman populace and other leaders are unhappy, more unhappy than they would normally be. So let's roll the second one. That is 31. 31 is conspiracy. +1 to each assassination 1d6 attempt. Again, unlikely to see assassination. It's possible, but it's unlikely. Next one is a 2-1. A 2-1 is a bodyguard. So this is -1 to each assassination. So these kind of cancel each other out. So there's 1 2 3. We've got 4. We've got a 4 and 4-2. 4-2 is mutiny. Okay, so increase unrest by 1d6. So that's an immediate thing here. So we've got the metric of unrest, and we roll a d6 and we add 3 to it. So it goes from 4 to 7. Right, we have 2 to do, but we've just got 1 counter. That's 53 Praetorians. +1 to unrest 3d6 for each Praetorian guard. So this is a dice roll for the future. What I want to do is, that's a particularly relevant one that will come up. So what I like to do is I like to put a counter next to the part of the sequence of play where this will become relevant. So this is the unrest 3d6. Now that takes place here. So that's just a reminder that there is a modifier here. And you kind of need to do that, otherwise, frankly, you can kind of miss these guys. Modifiers later in the turn. Let's roll the last one. And that's a 51, which is persecution. Decrease prestige by half the intriguability of Caesar rounded up. So we don't have a counter for that, so we'll get another one, which we'll put here. Decrease prestige by half the intriguability. The intriguability is the pink one, which is a 3. So it's half rounded up, so 2. So Caesar's been a bit mean to a few people, so that's reduced by 2. We're not being very famous about what we're doing here, being a bit underhand. That's our event phase, really. There are extra things to do, so the next thing we do is the mortality roll. So we roll a d6 to see if any of our leaders actually die. So this is Augustus and Agrippa, and effectively it's on a we roll just 1d6, and on a 6 they will die. So for Augustus, it'll be a bad start if either of these guys go. Oh, and look, Agrippa goes. So Agrippa is actually out of the game. He didn't make it to what he's meant to do, which is fight the Hispanic War. But never mind. That's a bit of a setback, actually. Then we go to Assassinate Attempts, but they only do that if the Julian Emperors are in the Emperor box. That counter, it's not there. And support dice rolls for rebels. There are no rebels, hence why that event wasn't that relevant. So that's all our event phase done. All completed. onto the Treasury phase. So this is the accounting bit. So we will add the taxation onto the Treasury track for the money we bring in for the turn. It actually says make tax 2d6. So each of the Roman provinces will pay their money, but there's a possibility, if you have a really good governor, that they will pay double. So you roll a dice for each of these provinces, and again, this is the kind of bureaucracy you get in the game, but you only do it per region, not per province here, which is a bit easier. What do we get standard? So we will get 11, 25. We get nothing from Pannonia at all, nothing from Britannia. 25, get 28 from Italia. 25, that's 40, 53. Hope my maths is up to it on the fly. 53, Moesia 63, 65. And for Pontica, 65, 75, 77. For Syria, 77, 87, 90. And then finally we've got Egyptus here, which kind of stretches a little bit, which is another 5. So that's 95. So we add 95 to the total here. So we can put the times 10 up to the 19 and our times 1 counter here. Now we roll to see if we can get some extra. We can squeeze a bit of extra out of the Roman Empire. So how do we do that? So we roll 2d6, this is not easy, roll 2d6 and subtract his administrative ability and that of Caesar. So Caesar counts for every single roll, and if you get less than or equal to 0, you can double it. So 2d6 and you're looking for a 0. So yeah. Alright, so if we look at Italia, so we've got Caesar and his administrative ability is actually a 5, it's pretty good. And the prefect is a 2, so that's 7. So we minus 7 off the dice. 2d6 for Italia. 6 minus 7. Well, there you go. We won. So we got 28 again, which is brilliant. 20, well, that's 13 down 2. That's a good start. Right, and this is where Augustus actually kind of shines here. In Hispania, we have... let's do it through here. So Britannia, we don't get anything for Britannia anyway. Gallia. So we've got administrative of 2 here, so that's a 7. So again, a minus 7. Oh, it's not bad actually, is it? It's a bit odds on to get it. And in Gallia, yeah, for the 14. 6 minus 7, yeah, we got it. So another 14. We're doing really good here. And there we go. Pannonia, we get nothing. Moesia here, so we have a 6, minus 6 on the dice. 6, brilliant. Get an extra 12. So we're kind of coining it in at the moment. We're up to 249. That's great. Then we're on to Hispania, which is a 2 plus 5, 7. Yes, my God, good set of rolls here. And 11 there. So we are actually on 260. So we seem to be exceeding the chart, but there is something we can do. We have Africa. Africa doesn't get us anything. Oh, actually, sorry, I forgot Africa. Africa gives us 3. So I'll actually turn this counter on to a plus 250. So we're on 260. So that's where we want to add 3 for Africa, which I missed. 1, 2, 3, and let's roll for Africa, and Africa is a minus 6 on the dice. No, they're not going to give us any more. Egyptus is a 3, so that's an 8. Minus 8. 7, yep, that gives us, but that only gives us an extra 5, but hey, I'll take it. Who's next? Syria. Syria is a 2 plus 5 minus 7. Nope, not happy. And finally we've got Pontica, which is a 3, so that's 3 plus 5, 8. Yes, Pontica gives us another 12. So we're kind of rolling in it here, aren't we? So there we go, 270. So actually, yeah, 270 is there. Right, 270 money. Gosh, we're rolling in it. Now we have to pay our units. So these are the units currently on the board. That's the pay amount here, which is already set for you at the beginning of the game, and that is 79. So we take 79 off this. So we are 270, so we end up at 200. So 191, I think. So that's our pay. Now we do what's known as move wars. So I know it's the Treasury phase, again, slightly oddly. We have one war on the board, which is here. So the first thing we do is we will see if that war moves. Currently it's in this province, and see if it moves on. So there's a chart to follow, known as, again, slightly strangely, the Pillage Chart, although no real pillage happens as a result of the chart. It's a movement chart. Okay, so we need to check where this Cantabrian war will move to, and when it will move at all. So if it's in a homeland or barbarian province, so that's a homeland province. Barbarian province is with one of these green markers. It's not in that. So if it was in that, it would definitely move. If it's not in that, then we need to do a dice roll. So we roll a dice, d6, and we're looking for 4 or greater. A 5. So potentially it moves, but we have some modifiers to look at here. If it's less than 4, then it stays where it is. Okay, the modifiers are the leader's pillage ability. So in addition to wars, you have leaders which kind of add to the wars, which we'll pick out here, but there's none of those on the board at the moment, so that's irrelevant. Is the migration event in play or doubled? And it isn't. The migration here, we have no event here. Is it an insurgent province? It certainly is. It's got insurgent on it, so that's a +1 on the dice, so we're on a 6 now. Is it an allied or veteran allied province? No, it's not. It's insurgent, so that. So for each Imperial Cavalry, Praetorian Guard, Legion and Auxilia, Imperial Cavalry and Praetorian Guard are kind of special legions, effectively, in an insurgent or raven province. But there's nobody here, so there's no modifier, so that ends up as being a 6, and that's 4 or more, so he will move. Now, where will he move? Now, when they move, they will go on a particular priority, but the priority is about how easy it is to move, and these have both got roads, so it's easy to move in either way. So really it's down to a dice roll. 1 to 3 is Lusitania, and 4 to 6 Terra Conensis. 4 to 6, so it actually goes to Terra Conensis here, and joins that army there, and that's moving wars. Now the next thing we do is we actually get extra wars. So we roll a dice, a d3, so halved rounded up, 2, halved rounded up, they're down to 1. So we only get 1 war. So we take this set of markers and we put down what we got. What have we got? 1 is pretty good for getting a war. This is a Moorish war worth 7. So the 7 is the strength of the war. They also have a C rating, which is 1, 2, I think 3. That's basically can they move by sea or not. A 1 is the basic. Oops. Is the basic number. You never get a 0, and that pretty much means that it can't move by sea. But we put it in the homeland for the Moorish, which is here. Okay, so that's our extra war. So we have 2 wars to deal with in a turn. Now, when you place a new war, the first thing it does is move. And again, because it's now in a homeland province, it will move. It can only move one place, so it will move to Numidia. And this increase, remember I increased the annexation status of Numidia. This was kind of why, because you know, it's quite often that the Moors turn up in this particular scenario, so that was a kind of preparation. That's all we've done for the Treasury phase, although half of it was to do with wars. Now we have the Unrest phase. This is how we manipulate the whole setup of the empire. Build extra units, move units, pay our money to do things, also try and increase our prestige, reduce unrest, and at the end of this we'll get the unrest dice roll, which is the big thing, the big bad thing in each turn. So let's go through it. So we now sort of calculate unrest and the increase in it. Currently it's on 7. If we had a rebel, war, or each leader in a homeland province, and a Praetorian icon in Rome in excess of its Praetorian guards, then we add +1. Also for legions, legion icons where there aren't legions as well, which are also in a Roman or insurgent province. So you can see with the Roman provinces they give you tax, insurgent provinces don't give you tax, but they still have all the penalties of being a Roman province. We have no rebels. For wars we have 2 wars. Of course we have the, so I should just ignore these guys up here. This is these actually should be our barbarian, but they're just barbarian provinces. So we have 1 here, the Cantabrians, and 1 here, the Moor. We get +2 for that. Now look at the Praetorian icon in Rome. So we look at Rome here, and it has 2 Praetorian guard icons here, and we only have 1. So we're down 1. So that has an excess, that gives us another +1. We look around the other Roman and insurgent provinces, again a slight accounting thing here of course, just to see if there are any excess icons beyond legions to do the same thing, a bit like we just did with Rome here. So if we start over here with Hispania has none. There is 1 here for Numidia, but Numidia is not an insurgent or Roman province, so it doesn't count. Here in Africa we do have a fleet icon, and fleets also count here, so that's actually an unrest for not having a fleet there. So we're on to 11. It's going up, isn't it? Into Gaul we have 1 icon here, 1 icon here. These are not Roman provinces. This is not a Roman province. This is an insurgent province, but there's lots of legions there, so we're garrisoned okay. Not a Roman province, that's fine. Again, here these are not Roman provinces. Here, no. Here we have garrison. Here we have garrison. Here we have the fleet, and we have garrison. These don't require it. That one's a barbarian province. Anyway, background here, I think we're clear. Pretty good on the garrison side. Now, is there a grain icon in a barbarian, insurgent or rebel province? So the grain icons are areas which feed Rome. So here we certainly do have insurgents. Here in Egypt, these are 3 grain icons here. That is an insurgent province, so that's +3 there. Elsewhere, Sicily is fine. I'm not sure that's many after that. Baetica is fine. I think those are the only ones. So yeah, we've done the grain. We move on from that slight accounting there to pick some statesmen. So we roll a d3, d6 half rounded up. A 4, that becomes a 2. So we get 2 new statesmen. So these are Macro, who's a prefect, has the prefect ability, and Vitellis, which has a prestige ability. Okay. Now looking at these, the prestige ability means that if they are consul or Caesar, they actually add to your prestige. We'll account that later. So it'd be a good idea to put him in the consul. He's not an amazing commander. His intrigue's quite high though, and popularity. But I think we might put him as consul here. The second guy, Macro, here, again, not brilliant on the old combat. He's only a 2. You'll note that the prefect is in red. He must be made prefect if there is a slot available, so he automatically goes there. So we're leaving our governors on their own, really. We've appointed our commanders from our new statesmen. We can now annex a province as long as there aren't Antonine emperors here. Do we want to do anything about here, covering here? I'm inclined to improve Moesia in Thrace, I think. Let's improve Thrace to a veteran allied. Be great. So we decrease a prestige by 1d6 for each command with no insurgent or Roman provinces, except Britannia for this particular scenario. So if we have no insurgent or Roman provinces in a particular region, then we're going to lose prestige because we're not spreading the empire around here. I think we're fine. The ones that are close are Pannonia, but we do have an insurgent province here in Moesia, I think. But again, we do have some here. I think we're fine. Yeah, we can ignore Britannia. So there's no prestige loss there. Brilliant. Now we can increase prestige, and we do that by we combine the administration abilities of the Caesar and Consul. So this would be Vitellius and Augustus. So his organisation ability is brilliant. Is 5 plus 3 for Vitellius, so that's 8. Get us. So we add 8, which gives us 31. So we've gone up to 31. That's brilliant. We decrease the unrest by the combined popularity of Caesar and Consul. So this is not the yellow value. This is actually the green value, which is 4 and 3, so it's 7. So we reduce unrest by 7. It's on 14, back to 7. That makes a big difference, which you'll see in a minute. Now we can pay for bread and circuses. So bread and circuses is the ability for us to pretty much bribe the population to like us. So we can increase the prestige by 1 for each 10 gold we spend, and we can do that up to the number of times up to the administrative ability of Caesar. So Augustus is a 5, so we can do that 5 times. We can spend 50 gold, already reduced the gold down to 14, 190 down to 140. So that's plus 5 on our prestige. So that now goes to 36. So that's our bread and circuses done. Now we can build and transfer units. We need to prepare for these wars. Now, the war has gone this way in Hispania, so what we want to do, I believe, is move. We will probably use this army to fight. We'll go through the fight later. I think we will transfer into there. We have a maximum stacking here, so 1, 2, 3, 4 legions and 2 auxiliaries, so that's fully stacked. But what we can do is we can move an auxiliary out, maybe up to here, move the legions, or most of the legions up here. Yeah. And yeah, we're quite happy with that. And we'll also move a legion into here and withdraw one of the standard legions. So we've got to put all our veterans in here. Actually, we'd keep the auxiliary in, that's fully stacked. So 4 legions, 3 veteran, 1 standard, and 2 auxiliaries there. And we did it within the region, so we don't have to pay for anything here. Here, we're not in this space. However, what we can do is we can attack from an adjacent space. We've got 1 standard legion here, which is not a lot. So I think we need to transfer some people in here. So to start off with, I think we'll take a couple of veteran legions and bring them in here. We have 2 guys here. We have the guys up here, but the German front is very quiet. So we might bring another one down here. So that's 1, 2 legions coming in, and we want some auxiliary as well. So 1 from there, and any auxiliaries that we can spare. Oops. We'll take 1 from Syria there. So we've transferred 2 legions to auxilia, and that will cost us because they're moving to Africa. And so transferring an auxiliary is 1 gold, transferring a legion is 2. So that's 2, 4, 5, 6. Costs us 6 to do that. Easy money, really. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And bring us down. We're still on 135 money here. And that's all we really need to do. We'd like to put legions around where insurgents, because the legions can help us turn insurgents into Roman provinces. and where when we don't need to do that, although we have to worry about the garrisoning, of course. I think what we will do is we spread these legions about. I think we'll bring another legion here to here, so we've got a decent spread of legions here to help out. That would have cost us, moving a legion is 2, so that cost us another 2. Do we need to build anything more? We can. One thing I'd like to do actually is build a fleet in Africa to stop us getting unrest for that. So a fleet actually costs us 15 gold. So we will take the African fleet. It doesn't matter. The names don't really matter, and place that there. That'll cost us 15. So it's going down. So now we make what's known as the Unrest Roll. Now we've got a modifier here, so I'll take that off. And the modifier, of course, is in the vent, is +1 for each Praetorian Guard. We have 1 Praetorian Guard, so the Praetorian Guard are looking a bit uppity. So we got a +1 from that. We also have a +7 from the Unrest, so that's +8. We roll 3d6. If we get equal to or greater than 25, Caesar gets killed. Okay, and we lose prestige for his administration, increase unrest by his popularity. So we don't want that to happen, but need to roll a 25. But it's 3d6. We are currently on +8. Also a modifier for each Praetorian Guard in play normally. So it's an addition. So we actually have a +2 for the Praetorians, 1 from here. So that's +7 plus 9. So +9. So with 18 plus with 3d6 +9. Hopefully it's not big. So that's 12. 12 plus 9. 12 plus 9 is 21, not 25. People aren't happy, but not enough to do anything about it. So we kind of survived that roll for the turn, and that's kind of the big thing in the game. So we've done our Unrest phase completely. That's all done now. Now we're on to the war phase, so we see what happens here. First thing happens is we make a revolt dice roll. Now this again is a slight misnomer, so this can be a bad thing or it could be a good thing. Okay, so for every allied, veteran allied, insurgent and Roman province, so anything that's not barbarian, as you can see there's a hell of a lot of these, you roll to see whether they revolt. Revolt is basically reduce your status, so it drops a status. However, with insurgent provinces, there's a possibility that they may become Roman provinces. This is how it gets shifted across. Annex doesn't work. This is the point. Now, of course, you have modifiers, and a lot of the modifiers mean that you don't need to roll for the province, because you need to roll 1d6. You need to roll greater than a 6. So the mods need to be there, otherwise, well, there's absolutely no point in doing it. Now, particularly relevant, what I like to do is to point out the insurgent provinces that could get a 0 and therefore turn into a Roman province. So I just want to mark those. So to do that, they need to be insurgents, of course, and also they need to have some garrison, really. So the big modifier is actually legions present. So I'm just going to put these down. So here, just to remind me that these, we're not, when we do the roll, we're not only looking for a not bad roll, but also the possibility of good roll. Insurgent here and here, although I think those are less likely. One here, and I think we're all down in Egypt for the others. Yeah. So just as a reminder again, because again you can kind of miss these things as you're going through the bureaucracy. So the big thing that actually negatively affects this dice roll, as in it gives you pluses on the dice roll so you can get greater than a 6, is actually the presence of homeland provinces and wars. Insurgency actually gives you a negative, so you automatically get a +1 in insurgent province. Allied provinces and veteran allied actually reduce the ability, because they are allied with you. Something would have needed to have happened in those regions. So if there's no other influence in the region, like a proximity to a homeland province or proximity to a war, then there's no point in rolling for them. And looking at here, so look at Africa for example, which is these 4 provinces. So the prisoners of the war affects the revolt dice rolls here and here, won't affect here. So there's no need to roll for that particular one. So let's roll here for our Roman province here of Africa. Now we have a hell of a lot of modifiers here, but let's just have a look. We have a war adjacent, and it's adjacent by a road. Adjacent by a road means that you get a +2 on the dice. However, for each legion and auxilia, we get a -1. So there's no chance we're going to get a 6 or more there. So we can really ignore Africa. We don't need to roll for it. It's not an insurgent province, so you don't get a good result. However, here, much different. So Numidia, we get a +3 for having a war there. We are also adjacent to this homeland province, so that also adds as well. I believe it's a +3 as well. So there's actually a +3, +6 on the dice here. We get a -2 because of the veteran allied, which is why I flipped that over in the turn, even though we didn't know there was a war there. So now we have a +4. So getting greater than the 6 is very likely. But we don't. They hang tight there in Numidia. They stay with us. That's brilliant. Mauritania Caesariensis here is only allied. It is adjacent by road to a war. That's +2. It's allied, so it's a -1. So there's a +1 on the dice. So it should hang happy. A 5 + 1 is 6. Not greater than the 6, so is all right. And of course, there's no modifiers for Tingitana. So right, moving up to the Hispania area. This guy's fine. These guys, however, are next to the war, so we do need to roll for them. So Baleares, we have a sea connection to a war, which is just a +1. So we roll for the Baleares, a +1. No, that's fine. We didn't get more than 6. Carthaginiensis is fine, and Baetica is fine anyway because it's not close. So up here we've got the province which has a war in. So the war is a +3. That's the only positive modifier, but we do have 1, 2, 3, 4 legions, 2 auxilia, so that's -6. So there's going to be no chance that Terra Conensis changes. Lusitania here, this is the first of our positive ones. So it's not adjacent to anything bad. It's just got the negative modifiers of 1, 2, 3 legions and auxilia. So we've got a -3 on the dice, and hopefully we get a kind of make it so that it actually turns into a Roman province. Not on a 6, no. Same thing up here, although we do have the influence of the war, so that's -1, 2, 3, but it's on a road, so that's a +2 influence. So we only got a -1. No, that's not going to shift. Here we have a -3. There's no bad influences. Yes. So the insurgency goes. This is now a Roman province, and as a result of that, we get a prestige for doing that. I'm happy with. So we've done these rolls. Okay, here nothing really to do here. But as up in Britain here, we have quite a lot of influence here from the homeland and also a barbarian province adjacent by road. So that's a +3, and that's a +2 because it's a river straits. So that's +5. I don't think we're going to keep that allied marker at all. 4 + 5, 9. So that allied marker goes. So yeah, that's Britannia done. That doesn't cause a prestige loss. Only a Roman to insurgent downgrade gives us a prestige loss. Over here we got no chance, even though we're adjacent to two barbarian areas by straight. So that's +1, +2, -2, no chance. Here, no chance here though, there is chance. Agri Decumates. So we have a +1, +2, +3, +3 on here, -1 for the Allied. So +2 on the dice. That's a 5, so no. Ratio, I think we cancel out. Veteran Roman versus Barbarian. Same here. Same here. Pannonian Inferior though has quite a lot of connections here, so we have Straits Barbarian provinces, so that's +2 each of those. So it's +4, -1 is +3. No, we're fine. Here we have a roll for Illyria, so no bad influences I don't think. Everybody's friendly. And we've got 3 legions, so that's 3 -3 on the dice. Oh, 4 -3 is 1. It doesn't become a Roman province. Shucks. Anyway, Moesia Superior. Now this is a bit trickier because we've got Barbarian Empires, +2 each of those, +2, and that's -3, +1 for the Insurgent as well. I forgot to do the Insurgent on that one. So I don't think there's any chance of us getting that removed. However, +2, +4, +5, -3, so it's a +2, so it might get worse. Nope, it doesn't. We're fine. Moesia Inferior, so we've got +4, -2. That's a 6, it's fine. Thrace don't need to roll for. And Italian, so we don't have to roll for. These guys we don't have to roll for. We're really around the periphery here. So Bosphorus here, it's a +2, that's a -2, so there's no chance of the Bosphorus. Oh, actually no, we've got Goths here as well, so there is a +2. Oh, there's another one is here. Oh yeah, so that one does go. Colchis, +2, +4, -1, so it's +3. Yep, that actually goes completely. That's actually a Barbarian province. Now, Iberia, a 2. What did we have? We had +2, +4, -2, so that's fine. Albania, no, that's fine. That's +2, +4, yep, so that becomes a 5, that's great. Armenia Major, Armenia Minor here, cancels each other out, cancels each other out, cancels each other out. This is +2, +4, -2. Okay, so it's a +2, it's a possibility. +2, that becomes a 7. Yes, that becomes Insurgent. So we lose a prestige for that. That's annoying. So we lose the prestige. Here, +2, -1, so that's a +1 there. Nope. +2, +4, should be the other way around. +4, -2, so it's a +2, nope. We're good just up to Egypt now. So here, we have an influence of Barbarians, it's a +2. +2, -2, so there's no chance we could get a 0, so that doesn't happen. Here we've got no influence, but we've got a -2, so there's a chance that will become a Roman province. Oh, a 2 to 0 means that that becomes a Roman province. Great. Prestige up 1. Actually, I'll do the tax changes later off camera because we're only going through the one turn. And finally here we've got no chance because it's +1 Insurgent. Oh, actually, yeah, I apologise. Forgot the +1 Insurgent here, so that didn't happen. That is still Insurgent. Yeah, forgot the +1 there, and that's not going to happen either. So I think we've done with all that. So as you can see, it's a bit of kind of bureaucratic thing that we're going through here. So that's the first part of the war phase. Now we roll 3d6 for each war. So here's where we can attack a war. We can either use Caesar and or the governor. So when we're looking in Africa here, we've got a governor here with a ability of 2. In Hispania we have a governor ability of 1. So I think we should use Caesar to attack in Hispania, and then it wasn't Africa's a 2, sorry, there. We'll use the African governor to attack here and see what happens. So we roll on the war chart. Now it's 3d6, but there are some special provisos here. So you can get some automatic results, which are not good. One is known as disaster and one is known as stalemate. Now you can avoid the possibility of those if you have a commander which actually has the name of the war on their counter. So for example, Agrippa, who died, he had Cantabrian written on it, so he could not suffer a disaster or stalemate. However, he died. So we're leaving it with Caesar here, who doesn't have that ability. So in the battle in Terra Conensis, first thing we do as a modifier is we look at the war strength, and the war strength is 8, which is pretty chunky. There is no leader stacked with the war, that's a barbarian leader. For every homeland or barbarian province connected to it, so there isn't, he's a bit isolated, surrounded by insurgency. So for each, effectively, legion auxilia in a province occupied the war or connected to it, so we have 2, and if they're veteran, they count 2. So that's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's in there and connected. Oh, all connected, not and. So we pick one or the other, and we're going to pick these guys. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they were +8. We are -9. So it's a -1 on the chart so far. So each allied province occupied by the war connected to its province. So do we have any allies? And we don't. These are all Roman provinces. So there's no allies to add in. Do we have the commander's matching war special ability like Agrippa? No, he doesn't. And it's the military ability of the commander. So this is Augustus, and it's a 2. So it's an extra -2 to it. We end up with -3 on the dice. It's 3d6, and we're looking for as low as possible. But we also want to avoid those disaster and stalemates, and this is about not rolling triples and doubles out of these. So let's see what we get. There's a double there. Let's have a look. Is it a triple? No, they're not. So it's not a disaster. Is it a stalemate? Are the 2 white dice doubled? No, they're not. It's a red and a white. So it's not a stalemate. We avoided those. Right, so we add that up. So we've got 8, 11, minus the 3. Minus the 3 is 8. And if we get a less than or equal to 9, we get a triumph, which means we won. Okay, so the first thing that happens is that war goes and sits with the commander who beat it. So we'll move, oh sorry, that's the wrong one, isn't it? It's that one. Okay. Now, when you win a triumph, there are some bonuses. So we add gold to the treasury equal to the war strength, multiplied by the triumphing commander's administration ability. So we get a whole load of cash out of these Cantabrians. So it was strength 8, and Caesar's administrative ability is 5, so that's 5 8, so that's 40. We get 40 money extracted out of them. Wow. 150 now. Great. We increase prestige and decrease unrest by half the war strength. So it was an 8, half is 4, so we get an extra 4 here. We'll get 0, 40, and 4 off 7 is 3. So everybody's very happy about this this triumph. Now we can promote a unit that was involved. So the veterans, of course, can't be promoted. However, we can promote this legion to veteran. Wonderful. We can now do a free annexation because it's a triumph. I think we're going to try and improve that one there. So we're going to improve there for 1. Also, Caesar has a conquest. He gets a conquest 1 now, in addition to his one at the start of the turn. So, what else? I think here we want to improve Agridecumates because that was a bit vulnerable last turn. We do get another one because not only if the commander has the conquest ability, but Caesar himself. Now they're both the same people, so we get another one as well. I'm going to pick this one here, just to help out what's going on in Africa, I think. Now we get losses. Losses are equal to what the red die roll, so we get 4 losses. Now that could be units, but you can actually take other things as losses. So there's a losses chart available. So we can flip a veteran back to ordinary for 1 loss. We can destroy a legion for 1 loss. We can add an unrest, or we could take away a prestige for 1 loss. We can put a fleet, Praetorian Guard, or 2 auxiliary in the Barracks box, so effectively make them be rebuilt for 1. Or we can also, if the war is still there, we could have actually reduced the status of the province. Or we can pay 10 gold. So we need 4 here, and we don't really want to lose the units, so I think we may actually do a +2, +3 unrest, I think, and we'll lose a prestige. Yeah, that'll do. Actually, no, let's keep the prestige, and we'll just pay 10 gold. So that's kind of bribe. It's part of the loss. Great. We've got another one here to deal with, which is the Moorish here. Now we don't have to attack, but let's have a look at it here. So there's 7. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, -8 here, so we're on -1. The commander is the African governor, which is a 2, so that's a -3. However, there is a link to the homeland province, and it's a matching homeland, so that's a +2. So we would be on a -1 for combat. Actually, there's also a -2 here for the allied province, so it is still -3. So just running through that again, so we have 7 value wars, that's +7. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's right. So that's a -8 + 7 is -1. We have the Moorish homeland adjacent to the war, so that's a +2, becomes a +1. And then we have the allied province there, which makes it a -1 again. Then we also have the governor's ability, which is a 2, makes it a -3. So same odds that happened in Hispania. So let's roll the dice. Hope you don't get a disaster. Oh, that's very low and very different. And the red dice is low, so that's great. So no disaster, because it's not on triple. There's no possibility of a stalemate, because even there's no doubles. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 -3 is 3. That's well below the triumph scale. So we triumphed. Take that and put that in the Africa box for the governor, who did well. We get a free upgrade. So we'll take the 21st Legion and make it a veteran. We also get to do some, I'd say 7 wars, so that's, and the administrative ability of the governor was a 2, so it's another 14 we get. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 10. We promote the unit, do get a free annex, and we also get a free annex because of Caesar having a conquest ability. So we have 2 annexes now. We'll make that an insurgent province. and we'll also put back Bosphorus as well. So that's our 2 triumph bonuses there, and then we lose 2. So with that, I think we're going to just pay 20. We can only do the losses a maximum of 2 times, so two losses of 10 money is good. You can't just stack them all up. I don't think I did that in Hispania. So that war is done as well. So if we're done with our wars, make a civil war dice roll for each rebel. There aren't any rebels, so that's fine. Make a rebellion dice roll for each governor who won a triumph. Okay, so we had 1 governor who won a triumph, which was the African guy. So we roll a 3d6, and again we've got to get equal to or more than 25. So it's a bit like the Unrest dice roll. Modifiers are popularity of the governor. Popularity of the governor is a 1. Unrest is 6, so it's +7. There are no emperor's counters, so that doesn't matter. The rebellion event in play. Oh, we did actually have that, didn't we? Yes, +1 to the rebellion dice roll here from the event, rebellion event here. So popularity of 1, unrest of 6, that's 7, +1 for the rebellion event, +8. Each 2 veteran legions in the governor's command. Yeah, that's only if we have Antonine emperors, and we don't have that, so that's then minus Caesar's popular ability. So his popularity of Caesar is a 4. So that was +8 minus 4. It's a +4 on the dice, and we need 25 on 3d6. Can't happen. We can't get a 25 with 3d6 +4. So the rebellion doesn't happen. Then we're on to the victory phase. So now if it's turn 10, that's the end of the game. If not, we just advance the turn marker. So that's a sample turn, a little bit long-winded, but I thought it'd be interesting to take you through, see what you think about the game. I think you need to get the mechanics of unrest, wars, and the status of provinces kind of working together in your head, because they're sort of separate concepts, and again the rules don't really tie them together into a sort of central concept. But that, I think, is what you need to do. The game certainly needs some extra help, like these markers here, like the reminders for modifiers, and also the counters are quite small, and we understand why. It's a magazine game, but they can be a little bit awkward to see, especially when you've got a veteran as opposed to a standard legion. You've got an allied versus veteran, allied versus allied. Some more colours would have helped. Something could be said for actually with these commanders that use statesmen actually using cards rather than the counters. So I understand again why they've done it, but actually for sort of ease of play and probably making it look a little prettier, that might be something to do. But overall, I think it's an interesting game, minus the bureaucracy. As long as you give yourself some aids here, I think it moves fairly swiftly. I haven't gone through a decent amount of the game with you. This is just illustrative, not instructive, but just illustrative to see what you think of the game, and yeah, whether you could pick it up. So it's still available Against All Odds magazine, even though it is not the current magazine here. And it's Philip Jelly who made this game, so kudos to him. I think it hangs together very well. Again, there's a sophistication here which you don't often see in quite a lot of magazine games. Yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you want me to kind of continue the game. Actually, I wasn't intending to do, but if there is interest, let me know in the comments. And of course, like the video if you want to, and maybe we'll carry on. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.